What's up, everybody? What's up? And welcome back to On the Warpath. It's your boy Sanchez 405. And if you're new, make sure you click that subscribe button, hit the bell so you get notifications anytime there's new content posted. And as always, like, comment, share this video out because you know what we do here, family. We talk about them Washington Commanders. And it's been a minute because we've been on a hiatus, holiday hiatus, and we had to bring in William back for our playoff preview against the Buccaneers coming up. But before we even dive into that, because it's going to be majority talking about that, but we got a recap because William went to the sunken place a few weeks ago, and him and I we lost contact after the Eagles game, which was 5, 6 turnovers. You want to call the turnovers on downs. Somehow, Jalen got hurt, and Jaden Daniels shined 5 touchdowns in the victory. And we've been on a tear. We have been on a rager since then. It seems like we've been the luckiest team in the NFL, William, so far. But just take me on your last 3-week experience against the Falcons and against the Cowboys last week.
I mean, I think at this point we're beyond luck. Luck doesn't even encapsulate what this team has managed to pull off week in and week out. It's just unwinnable situations that somehow become marks in the win column for the Washington Commanders. And as we learned last week, it isn't just Jaden Daniels that has that magic ability. Marcus Mariota's got it. The whole team's got it. There's something infectious about this team that it feels like we had lost there for a little bit. Me and you, we had to take a step away. We had to collect ourselves a little bit. But look, they got it back. I've got some notes from the game last week. Obviously, things are not looking necessarily as sharp as fans would have liked them to be heading into a playoff game where Washington is looking for its first playoff win since 2006 against the Buccaneers. But I mean, that Eagles game, what can't you say? A dogfight through and through. You could say that Hurts got taken out. Of course, I loved watching everybody on Twitter. Just if you looked up the name Frankie Louvu after he went out injured last week, it's all the crying Eagles fans. Thank God he's hurt. Oh, he shouldn't have hurt our quarterback. Look, I mean, they're all NFL quarterbacks. Yeah, Jalen Hurts was going to get the job done, but there was nothing shabby about what that offense did, even once he had exited the game. And the way that Washington, I mean, it just can't be overstated, continues to rise to the occasion, even when they have put themselves in less than favorable positions, is truly remarkable. And it started with the Bears game. Honestly, I would even say it started with the Giants game, because who in their right mind wins a football game in the National Football League with 7 field goals? Who does that?
Nobody.
Evidently only the Washington Commanders. So look, I mean, we have had 3 just exhilarating, heart-wrenching, I mean, send you into cardiac arrest weeks of football. And this team has shown that they can do it. They've shown that they can rise to the occasion, but we've said it time and time again throughout this season, but right now the stage has never been bigger, and they've got to eat what's in front of them. And this is a very, very good Tampa Bay team. This is a Tampa Bay team that I would even argue looks nothing like the Tampa Bay team that we saw at the beginning of the season, who handed the Commanders a pretty firm, belt to ass loss, where they really didn't feel like we were going to come away with a win. This team is a lot better, and I don't think that we can rest on our laurels. And I mean, we've said it. I don't think that we can rest on the luck factor in this one. I think that the team has got to sharpen up. But, what were your takeaways from those games? I mean, I love the video of you and your son after the Eagles game, watching that play. I mean, I was just like, I think it was how every fan felt, just overwhelming emotion, because like we've talked about, we hate the Cowboys, but for, this generation of fans, there's nobody that we hate more than the Eagles.
Yeah, F the pigeons. F them, F that cracked Liberty Bell, cracked stadium, the clink, as I like to call it. F Rocky. I hate watching those movies, even though they are good movies, because they have a statue there. I hate everything about Philadelphia. I hate the 76ers. I hate the Flyers. I hate the Phillies. I love Allen Iverson. I hate the fact that he played a majority of his career in there. And I love Charles Barkley, and I hate that he has darkened the doors of Philadelphia, too. Um, Euphoria, man. But I'm a nitpicker because I think that five turnovers at any level, even though you win, is unacceptable. I think the fact that you still were giving up chunk plays to Saquon Barkley, even though they did not have their quarterback, who apparently is Jesus's cousin, if you ask of all of Philadelphia, and um, I thought Marshawn Lattimore got picked on. I thought he played well, but I think some of those pass interference calls were BS
Oh
against
yeah.
A.J. Brown. But you know what? It was good. We handled business. Um, for the Eagles fans out there, oh boo hoo, you may have another opportunity at us, and we hope to see you. And if y'all are as great as you think you are, and if we're as great as we believe we are, then we'll probably see each other again. If not,
Mhm.
we won't. We'll see you next season, and we'll play in some primetime spot again. I loved what we did to them and how we did it. Jaden Daniels, ice water in his veins. It's like the Gridiron Heights video that they put for the playoffs out. And Cliff comes up to him and says he only gets hyped for the last 30 seconds of basketball, and he finds a way to pull something out of his rear. But no, man, to beat the Eagles, to end their 10-game winning streak was uh, was magnificent, and that was a feather in the cap. But you talk about like just the win against the Giants, the Tampa Bay, not Tampa Bay Buccaneers, against the Chicago Bears, which the Bears came through for us in the end though on Sunday too. Shout
Oh
out to
no, they did it in a big way.
Shout out to them. We thought y'all hated us, but I'm glad you had a little love for us, or your hate's bigger for the Packers. Either way, I would even say that second Giants game. The way Daniel Jones and them were commanding that offense before we had the turnover and everything, before first that turnover. There's been a lot of games out there that we've had the luck of the draw, and then we've had the draw go our, against us. Pittsburgh. I think Philadelphia, where we had opportunities to force Philadelphia's hands in situations, and we just didn't eat what was in front of us. Kind of the theme of what we've talked about all season long. But just going back to that win, amazing. And to shift off to that, the crowning achievement. We saw 11 wins for the. I think you've only seen 10 wins once in your lifetime. I've seen
Hmm.
it twice. And ironically enough, both times we've played Tampa Bay in the playoffs when we've had double digit wins. So that's a fun fact in my time. But the way that they couldn't stop the run against Bijan Robinson, but then the offense kind of became the biggest defense. Those clock draining drives, they ate a lot of clock in that overtime period. They marched downfield, and that was all Jaden, and they put it on him, and they won the game uh, conventionally at the end of it. It was a tale of two halves. I was sitting there, I was like, oh my gosh, we just can't get right. We've got to figure out how to do it. And they made the adjustments. And I think that's what makes me so proud to be a fan of this team is they make adjustments. They're not talented. Not very talented on the defensive side of the ball. We know that. We know in the secondary. I've already said this before. I'm ready to call ice this week and deport Benjamin St. Juice. Mike Davis should never be on a football field, in my opinion, because when you have a left-handed rookie just throwing to his right side at you and just eating you for his lunch, there's bigger problems going on. But that Atlanta win was a crusher for me. I loved it, and I even got emotional at the end of it because I was like, we're going to the playoffs, and we won 11 games for the first time since I was indicted.
Oh, I mean that was a special one. And being from Atlanta myself, I mean I loved them watching them take down the Falcons. But I think that you know, as in your nitpicking fashion, in your own style, that game worried me a lot. That
Yeah.
game worried me a lot. And talking about it with friends, talking about it with colleagues after the game, that arguably I would say was maybe the game that we probably most deserve to lose throughout this season. Because if you go back and you look at some of those balls that Michael Penix missed,
Hmm.
If he hits one of those, that game is over.
Shout out
And
to
those
Drake
were
London.
wide open. And at least three of them were wide open touchdowns. That if that ball had been caught, if Michael Penix had up to that point, 17 weeks with his receiving core, he
Hmm.
probably would have hit that throw and we would have been, packing up and heading to Cancun, somewhere warmer to get out of this snowstorm. That was a very worrisome game. And you talk about Bijan Robinson being able to run all over the defense. He had his way with the Washington Commanders that afternoon. There was nothing, seemingly nothing that we could do to slow down his run game. And, all of this kind of being a way that we're starting to look ahead to this week, that is a serious issue against a Tampa Bay team that is going to run the football
Yep.
very aggressively at you. The secondary as well. We're looking like we've got Marshawn Lattimore as a full participant in practice. That hamstring, although, this whole hamstring thing seems like it's a little bit more than whatever we initially thought it was. And like his initial return might not have actually been the thing that he should have done. I don't know, but a full participant in practice. I mean, the past 2 weeks have shown that he absolutely must be on the field.
Yeah.
Like he absolutely must. And I think it might be a little bit of a grass is always greener effect, but we were rationalizing the group that we had when we did not have him on the roster. But the second that we see him play, maybe not even necessarily because of the individual effect that he's having, like you said, he got picked on in that Eagles game. He was singled out time and time again. And though he did stand up pretty tall in that man coverage, I mean, he got attacked. And eventually, when you're one on one with some of the best receivers in the league, you're going to get beat. It is his effect that he has on the group as a whole and the way that he is a vocal leader on the defense and is able to kind of orchestrate things from that position that otherwise we don't have that kind of veteran authoritative leader at. I think is a huge impact. And you can see the difference that it has on guys like Chin, like Mikey. I
Mm.
mean, it keeps BSJ off of the football field for as much time as possible. He is a must have for this game as we start to look ahead. But back to the point, that Falcons game, it was a hell of a victory. And like you said, it was a milestone for a
Yeah.
ton of Commanders fans. It was one where I mean, we had friends talking, even if we had made the executive decision to rest everybody for the entirety of the Cowboys game, people were saying this is 11 wins, and that is not to be snubbed at. And that
Hmm.
is not to be shied away from, even if we didn't count the Dallas game, even if we didn't get to that road to 12 that we had been talking about all season. 11 wins was the most that we had seen in my lifetime. The last time we had won this many games, it was a Super Bowl. That was a really, really big deal. And of course, it brought us into the Dallas game. And I mean, what a story that game just turned out to be. I mean, you want to talk about emotion, jubilation, and joy. Like, how happy were you for Marcus Mariota, a guy that has, been such an excellent mentor for Jaden Daniels, who has been
Yeah.
talked about time and time again as being a really key part of his support system and development throughout this season, who has sat dutifully on the sidelines, never taking away from the spotlight, always shining on this young rookie. He gets his opportunity to go in there just after the birth of his son. And I mean, the guy puts on a clinic that, I mean, damn well looked better than Jaden Daniels did throughout the first half of the game.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. I mean, and then also for one more thought on that Falcons game, shout out to Raheem Morris for not knowing that he had
Yeah,
timeouts left
but
in
I mean, Lord
the
have
chamber.
mercy, that was terrible.
Hey, he
Him and
went to the
you know
Matt
what? Him
Eber.
and the refs. We can get him and the refs to get a little class together. We can talk about clock
Yeah.
management, how seconds go down usually. That the clock can start and stop at certain points, and maybe when it shouldn't.
Right.
Maybe when you should be calling. Just the thought. Him and what was it? Those Philly refs probably could
Yeah.
they could link up for a little educational seminar.
I mean, he went to the Matt Eberflus School of timeout usage, so
Yeah.
you can take them with you, I guess. Don't
Well, and it
smoke them
shows you
if
what
you
that
got them.
degree will give you.
Right, exactly. Yeah, a pink slip, right? Yeah, no, but to your point about Mariota, man, I mean, you said perfect mentor to Jaden. I mean, hell, Jaden had his jersey on as a kid, so he's a Mariota fan. And I think if something were to happen with Jaden, even throughout this run, which it makes it so much more pivotal, that I think they need to get Marcus Mariota under contract for like the next two years,
Absolutely. Yeah,
and
he
throw
should
throw
not go
him the money.
anywhere.
No,
He
because
shouldn't
he's
go
won you
anywhere.
2 games. He's won you 2 games this year, with the Panthers and with the Cowboys this year. And he played flawlessly, driving down the field. He was the running game. He was the passing game. And thank God for Malik Hooker, right? Left hand up. Uh, as he thought that they had stopped him on fourth down, man.
Oh
So
yeah.
yeah, it's a great story, and I have to apologize to Marcus Mariota. I've said this before. I felt like in Atlanta he quit on the team.
Hmm.
Now, whether that is true or not, we don't know. But it seems like, because I saw the QB video, and it seems like that was kind of the thought process. Or maybe Atlanta quit on him. Maybe Arthur Smith quit on. We don't know, and we can't answer that. But I am glad to have him here as a backup quarterback, and that's what veterans do. That's why you bring in. That's why you pay veterans that type of money. That's why Chase Daniels was able to parlay himself into one of the richest backup earners of all time, is because that not only is that ability, but that knowledge is invaluable. And Mariota, I mean, it just he was the MVP of 2 games, really, if you think about it.
Yeah. Oh,
When he went
100%.
and talked to Jaden at that draft, he's like, "Hey, just go and get your use your God given talent and win this game for us." Like, that's the stuff we don't see all the time. That's going in the background. I think about on the Hard Knocks, right? It didn't really help him, but Jameis Winston helping out DTR and telling him, what you can look at and encouraging him. That stuff is invaluable to young quarterbacks, and it can't be. I don't think you can put a price on that at
No.
times. And we'll see how it goes with him going forward. But I think he's got a couple of guys he's familiar with. Does Mariota? Brian Johnson came over from Philadelphia with him last year. So if Cliff does go, that's another question we've got to address, the elephant in the room too. We might be able to have some time. Is Cliff going to be here next year? I think he will, but
I do.
because I don't really think there's any good jobs on the market right now. Maybe Chicago, but that's about it.
Well, I also, on the Cliff note, just briefly, I think
Hmm.
that he's dipped his toes into the head coaching waters and
Hmm.
seen how far that can get him. And with the immediate success that he's having with a star powered, certified, like going to be a franchise quarterback in Jaden Daniels, and how well those two seem to work together and the chemistry that they've developed, I think he would be very, very hard pressed unless, as you mentioned, something incredibly attract. I mean, unless they're like, do you want to come be the head coach of, the Philadelphia
Yeah,
Eagles? Do you want to come be the head coach of the Los Angeles Rams? He's not gonna. I don't see him taking a job at the Bears, for
yeah,
example, who, I mean, the Commanders took their souls, crushed them up, and threw them in the
yeah,
waste bin on the side of the
yeah.
street. But back to the Mariota thing, I think that one of the points that you said that stuck out is that Washington fans can feel confident that no matter what happens with Jaden, it doesn't, not that it doesn't matter, but there is a plan.
Yeah.
And it's not like you're falling off. It's not like, and bless his heart, I've got his jersey. What came before five was four, but it's
Hmm.
not like you're putting Taylor Heineke in the game.
Right. Exactly.
You are putting in Marcus Mariota, who, as you mentioned, has been the MVP of 2 games, certifiably finishes last week's game as the leading rusher for the Commanders, 5 carries for 56, goes
Mm.
15 for 18 for 161. And while I'm not going to put everything on Jaden for his first half performance, 6 for 12 for only 38 yards, his
The receivers
receivers,
were point shaving. Let's be
they were
honest, they were
terrible.
point shaving. Yeah.
Yeah, no, they were gaslighting the absolute hell out of him. They were like, "Oh, throw me the ball," and then they tie their hands behind their back and think it was a magic trick. Like, what were you doing? But the way that when they saw Marcus go in, they reacted, and the way that they didn't see Marcus go in, and once again, we don't know truly whether this was a premeditated decision, whether this was a call that was made at halftime to bench Jaden, whether the team was aware of it. Of course, Dan Quinn, being a fantastic messenger, had his company line ready to go. But the way that the entire rest of the offense and defense, for that matter, didn't see Jaden Daniels come out and go, well, game's over. We've got our playoff spot. Let's punch
Mm-hmm.
through these 2 quarters, go home, and get some rest. The way that they rose to the occasion and they saw Marcus go in and say, you know what, like, I'm not about to let my guy let this slip away. I mean, some of the catches that Terry made in the second half, not to mention the game winning touchdown to set the Commanders franchise record, were just
Oh yeah,
unbelievable. They were superstar
stupid.
wide receiver catches. They
Mm-hmm.
were the Terry McLaurin of Terry McLaurin, the reason why he is the wide receiver one kind of catches. The question is, we've toyed with his chemistry with Jaden. We've toyed how he always hasn't been the go-to guy. Are we going to get that second half Terry McLaurin when we show up on Sunday night?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Um, I think that's a good point, and I'm going to ask you this question because I always say I like to troll the fan base. But before we go into that part, I got to say hello to a few folks here. Dump Truck Don's in the building. Bucks Raised Bolts, Bucks fan here to say hi. What's up? Nicole is in the house. Shaq, resident Cowboy lover and Washington hater. It
Yeah,
won't
sorry,
last
Shaq.
long. Sorry. Boo hoo hoo. Cry,
That
cry,
was a
cry.
bad 15 minutes for
Um,
Shaq there.
yeah, he was greeting all what's up, Hawks. Any chance that Godwin plays? I don't think so, brother. Jay Martell says, I'm looking forward to this because we need to get this win. Absolutely. 12 wins to finish. That was a Christmas, Happy New Year miracle. And then Jordan agrees with us saying that Chris, my Godwin, won't play. So, question, because I love to troll the fan base on this. Is Terry McLaurin elite?
I mean, now see that yeah, go ahead and put the glasses on. Classes in session here. As much as I want to say yes, I I don't think so.
Good. Good.
I
Good
just
answer.
don't. I
Right
don't think
answer.
so. See, we
He's
always
very
talk
good.
about this. No, we always talk about this on Sirius XM, and we use the phrase like world class at the
Hmm.
soccer station. They always say like, "Is this person world class?" And one of our radio hosts, Tom Rennie, he always says it. He says it best that when I think about like elite, when I think about that world class special category, my criteria is if the Monstars came down to earth right now, and I had to put 5 guys out there. I had to put a starting, 11 for the Commanders out there, or for the NFL rather. And sure, we'll give him backups in this position. Is he going to be in that? No.
No,
Terry
but
McLaurin
that's
is not
fine.
in. Terry McLaurin, no, and no, look, and
Yeah, that's
that
fine.
is what we've said. Oh, no, and it's nothing against him. He is
Right.
phenomenal. He
He's
is
great. He's
exhilarating.
a good
He is
receiver.
explosive.
Very good.
He's
Yes.
not elite. There's no. I just don't think that you could be in your right mind because of how inconsistent he can be. Because of when you compare him to a Justin Jefferson, for example,
Right.
he's not a precise route runner. He doesn't get the edge on you by being very meticulous in his movements. Look, he's a hell of an athlete. He's
Yeah.
big. He is strong. He is going to bully you away from the football. But technically, does he do things that are, mind numbingly awe inspiring? Does he create that extra step and a half of separation like a Justin Jefferson who is able to move and contort his body in ways that
Right.
cornerbacks and safeties just frankly don't understand? No, he's not. And if we saw Terry McLaurin come out and play like he did in the second half for an entire NFL season, maybe for 3 quarters of an NFL season. Am I willing to revisit this discussion? Absolutely.
Yeah.
Then it warrants a discussion. But the fact that we're looking at him drop goose eggs for, halves, 3 quarters, and then he'll pick up, 2 receptions. Granted, we come back to the fact of, he is the guy for the Commanders and he is going to be guarded, but that's not to say Justin Jefferson isn't the guy for the Vikings. He gets guarded. They know he's going to get the football, and yet he still is able to get his hands on it.
Yeah,
I think that that is the difference for, he's phenomenal, like you said, but elite,
yeah,
world class, I just don't buy it.
right. And I mean, and that's not saying he's not a top 10 receiver in the NFL either. Like that, I mean,
No.
and I think he is. He's in that top 10 conversation. He's got to be. Um, I don't think CD Lamb is elite. I don't think. I think there's two elite receivers right now in the league, and they're in one conference apiece. Justin Jefferson and Jamar Chase. I think those
Yeah.
cats are elite, and then everybody else is very good or great. Is great. Then you got very good, and then you've got good, average, then everybody else. Like
And so if you're
he
looking at it
yeah,
right now, if you're looking at it, you've got Jamar Chase at number one in terms of receiving yards. That's a given.
right.
He has dominated the NFL season. An obvious number two, Justin Jefferson. Then you got Brian Thomas, Drake London, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Jerry Jeudy, Malik Neighbors, who
Hmm.
now that's a conversation I would be willing to have. Give him a
It
season or
will.
two,
He's
and
going to
he
be in the
might be elite.
conversation. He'll be in
He
the
might be
conversation.
elite.
Yeah,
And let's be perfectly clear, as somebody that spent last weekend in the toilet bowl, Malik Neighbors owns my soul for keeping me out of a McDonald's for 24 hours. But then you've got CD Lamb, Brock Bowers, Lad McConkey, Trey McBride, and you keep going all the way down to 15 in terms of yards this season, and it's Terry McLaurin.
yeah, yeah. I mean, that's it. And like I said, that's not knocking him when you say he's not elite. It's not
No,
a knock. It's just, I mean, I think that folks, and to be a fan is short for fanatic, and homers. I get that. I'm not saying that you shouldn't feel that way. I'm just saying it's not really that. That's
No, and
not.
the
Yeah,
fan in me, if you ask the fan in me on a Sunday morning when I'm gearing up for the
right.
game, if you ask me Sunday afternoon at 1 o'clock when I'm gearing up, jersey on, having a
I'm
couple
going to ride
drinks,
in
fired
17.
up,
Yeah,
oh my, dude, he's Jesus Christ. Him and
yeah,
Jaden might as well have been immaculately conceived. But as a rational football fan, I don't think that you can. And I think Jermaine has a great point there.
yeah,
Look, he is a two guy. There are a lot of
yeah.
teams where he would be a number one guy, but
Hmm.
even now, I'm looking for a big receiver pickup. Probably not this season. I'm not looking for them to rush this decision. I'm not looking for them to, tank the ecosystem that is the Commanders locker room. But this offseason, when we're looking at $100 million in cap space, when we're looking at need, when we're looking at
Hmm.
one of the best front offices in the NFL, I'm going to have my eyes on a wide receiver pickup because we have one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL right now, one of the biggest rising stars in the quarterback. Wide receivers want to be catching footballs from Jaden Daniels, and the
Yep.
front office needs to make that happen. And look, Terry McLaurin will be a fantastic number two to a true superstar, but right now, I just don't think he is that superstar.
Yeah. He's a star. I mean, that superstars and stars are two different things, but I had to get to. So yeah, I like what you said about not forcing it. That means no Tyreek Hill. Um, because I will say the Washington Commanders nursery room will have to double in size if that's the case. But anyway, Tampa Bay Buccaneers on the register here, 37-20 victors against us back in Week 1. Jaden Daniels on his first trip in the NFL. Not a bad day, not a very good day. Though 17 of 24, 184 yards. He did run the ball 16 times for 88 yards and had 2 touchdowns um, in the victory. So uh, I thought for a rookie that was a good day for him. Brian Robinson only 40 yards on the ground. I thought the defense did a good job early on. Todd Bowles blitzing the hell out of him. We look on the flip side. Baker Mayfield played the role of Brett Favre very well. We were in the backfield on him, couldn't get him down. 4 touchdowns, no interceptions. Mike Evans added in 61 yards, 2 touchdown receptions. Chris Godwin had a touchdown as well for 83 yards. And then Jalen McMillan, I remember he abused I think it was Emmanuel Forbes on that day and got a big touchdown. But thankfully, Emmanuel
RIP.
Forbes is not here anymore. Um, but your thoughts on this game, the last time we played the Tampa Bay Buccaneers before we go into this preview about what they are now.
Well, I think it's right to start here because you're looking at the start of really what has been a long and exciting journey for two organizations. I already said it. The Buccaneers that we are seeing right now are not the same Buccaneers that we saw at the beginning of the season. And the Commanders that we saw week 1 are damn sure not the same team that
Right.
we have been seeing these past weeks. These are two teams that I think are going to make for a phenomenal advert for the NFL because it just shows how exciting the development of a season can be. And look, I think that you were right. I find it really difficult as I was going back and looking at some of, the highlights from this game and, just watching it. It's so evident and we didn't realize it at the time, I think, but it's just so evident that this was Jaden Daniels' first game as a rookie.
Hmm.
And I think that, I even remember at the time it was not, yo, what's up, Art? It was
Hmm.
not at the time something that made me think like this is a rookie. I'm nervous. Like he came out and looked like a polished pro, but the Jaden Daniels that he is now, I think, is a leader on the field. The authority that he has when he is moving the football, the relationship that he has had with Cliff, all of the things that we have talked about that have been that slow development are going to play in the Commanders' favor because while the Buccaneers are better, I don't think that they're different. I think that the
Hmm.
Buccaneers have stayed very true to the principles that they had at the beginning of the season. They've just improved on them. I think the Commanders on the other side of the coin have integrated so many more bells and whistles, so many different looks. The chemistry between a rookie quarterback and his offensive unit has evolved in, I mean, tenfold from what we were in this game. And look, 20 points in a rookie's first start in the NFL is nothing to shy away from. Did the defense give up 37? Yes. But has the defense been giving up 37 of late the way
No.
that Witt has, like he said at the beginning of the season, trusted the process and allowed this group to grow into his system? No. And so, while I do think and the line is not necessarily favorable to the Commanders, and it is going to be a dogfight. I think that when you're looking at this game in comparison to Week 1, the Commanders have made the bigger jump and are probably at the higher ceiling than Tampa Bay.
Yeah. Yeah. Tampa 10-7, but they had that first place schedule last year compared to our fourth place schedule. And I mean, really didn't even matter
Boy,
in
boy,
that
I can't
respect.
wait. As an aside, I can't wait until we start to talk about our schedule next year because
Yeah.
the previews of it are.
Woo, that's fun. I got some thoughts on that too, because we're gonna probably play some Dark Knight games too next year.
And
But
we're going to be playing some good football
oh yeah,
teams.
yep.
It is not a
That
cupcake schedule like this year.
three playoff teams out of the AFC next year. Buckle up, family. Buckle up, and nine road games too. So I mean,
We're gonna have,
it's
we'll take a full
yeah.
hour to get into that one because
Yeah,
I've
yeah,
got
yeah.
some
We're gonna
thoughts
have to do,
already.
yeah, we're gonna have to do that. That's gonna be off season talk. Um, but I look at it that the defense. The one thing I thought about the defense and kind of what you mentioned, they finally come together. This was the first game that they really all played together. Bobby
Mhm.
Wagner didn't play in the preseason. I don't think Luvu played that much in the preseason. A lot of these cats weren't out there playing in preseason. They were all sitting on the bench. So this was really their preseason game that they got to
Yeah.
go in there, and then we saw them kind of flip the switch the following week against the Giants, and then they put together the win. The offense wasn't clicking as much in the red zone, but I think they've learned a lot. They've learned a lot. These are two different teams. Of course, any teams that evolve from point A to point B in the season, you're going to see a lot of change there. But you know, let's just say what it is. They were in a weaker division. We were 3-1 against this division. This is the only team that we lost to in the NFC South. So they're still trying to find their way back to prominence. I think this is the fourth consecutive year that Tampa has won the division and everything. So yeah, but a good start for Jaden Daniels. But now I think he's different, and this is now his team. We know this is his team, um, and the coronation ceremony is over with. In that respect, we know who the leader is. But let's dive into it now. Tampa Bay 10-7 on the season. Baker Mayfield leading this team after getting that contract. He's back in the playoff once again. Um, and as much as you say about Baker Mayfield, I like Baker Mayfield. I like watching him. I think people have he's grossly underrated. He's grossly
Oh yeah.
underrated. I think people think look at his time in Cleveland, and then how he got to be Joe Hollywood. He led this team on a tear. They have won their last 6 out of 7 after losing 4 in a row to end October until the middle of November. Granted, they haven't played strong teams. They beat the Giants, the Panthers, the Raiders, the Chargers, the Cowboys. They lost to they beat the Panthers and the Saints to wrap up the season. But that's not discrediting what they do. I mean, you won 5 out of your last 6. They're a good team. You can't sleep on them. There's a reason why they're favored in this game. Bucky Irvins has been a hell of a back for him here, the rookie running back, which he has. I'm looking at my stats here. 1,100 yards to boot. He's got 1,100 yards and 8 touchdowns on 207 carries. And what have we struggled with this season so far? And what are the playoffs built on? You got to stop the run, and you got to learn how to run the football. And we talk about us running the football in a little bit. But offensively, what have you seen out of Tampa Bay? Who I think they even took. Did they take Kansas City to the grinder? Almost. Didn't they
I
take
think it
them
was a
to
tight
overtime?
one. Yeah, let's
Yeah, they
take
lost
a
in overtime to
yeah.
Kansas
Yeah.
City, and they haven't won at night this year. They're 0-4 in night games.
Yeah. No, I mean, like, that's definitely, and there's nothing that Jaden Daniels loves more than the prime time. The guy
Yeah,
loves the big moment.
yeah.
He is a big moment kind of player. But when you look at their offense, I think that you hit the nail on the head. Baker Mayfield, I love and I respect Baker Mayfield because of the story that he has. I mean, the picture that always sticks with me, and I literally think about it anytime somebody says his name, is when he's lined up as like a D lineman on scout team for the Panthers. And like he went from being Baker Mayfield in college to being a D line scout team fill in for the Panthers to now, I mean, you said it at the top of the show, almost having like a Brett Favre esque, like gunslinger throw the ball a million miles an hour right to his receiver and make a big play. I mean, he's a big dude. He's not super mobile, but he is tough to bring down. And he has the ability to hurt you through the air. But
Right.
that's not the bread and butter of this Buccaneers team. This Buccaneers team is going to run the football. They
As
are
well they
going to
should.
run you, and yeah, as well they should. They're going to run you until you can't, like, you just can't keep up. Your guys are going to be so battered and bruised in the trenches. They have a phenomenal offensive line that does a great job creating the gaps. The guys like Bucky Irving, who you already mentioned, 207 carries for 1,100 yards with 8 touchdowns, incredibly impressive. They can rely on Baker with that gunslinger arm in the red zone to find the little slot and punch it in. It's a dynamic offense, and they really can get you either way. But, as Gregory's saying, and a bunch of guys in the chat, like,
Hmm.
it's the run game defense that's going to kill us. And
Yeah.
they are going to run the ball. We've seen it time and time again. We've seen the likes of Saquon Barkley tear us to pieces. We've seen the likes of Daniel Jones tear us to pieces late in the second half when the defense is beat up. And I that is what I fear. That
Hmm.
it's not going to be the offense that loses us this game, despite how touch and go they've been, particularly in the past couple of weeks. But it's going to be the defense's failure to have any sort of stopping power against the run game.
Yeah.
And I think it is all the more reason why that having Marshawn Lattimore on the field is going to be so important. not because he's a factor in the run stop defense, but because he just alleviates pressure from those guys like Luvu, from those guys like Mikey, from those guys like Chin, to be so overtly concerned with what's going to happen downfield that they're able to shade and be a little bit more aware of what's going on at the line of scrimmage. And I think that his leadership and his authority in that space as a veteran guy that's been here before, plus who doesn't want to see him get into it with Mike Evans? I mean, like the people, I'd pay money to watch them get in a ring together, much less on a football field. Like he is going to be a huge impact, and he's got to be the guy. He's got to be the guy this week.
Yeah, I mean, you look at this 3 times this year, right? Yeah, 3 times this year we've given up over 200 yards on the ground, twice against Philadelphia and then against the Chicago Bears. In the last 3 games, we've given up 125 or more yards on the ground. That's got to be fixed. And granted, those are 3 wins. We got 3 wins out of it.
But 3 wins by the skin of our teeth. We
Yeah,
can't
yeah,
this is the playoffs. You can't be
right. There's no
eventually the
tomorrow.
magic runs out, and in the playoffs, look, at the end of the day, the better team usually ends up winning.
Hmm.
Like
Yeah.
they are going to find a way, particularly like you said, with how important the run game is in the playoffs, the ability to control the clock, the ability to dictate the rhythm of this game. The Commanders play well, as we've said all season, when they have the lead and when they're
Hmm.
in control. And the run defense is going to let Tampa Bay take this game over, dictate how much time Jaden gets on the field, dictate whether Jaden even gets his shot at a winning drive. That's going to be what hurts us.
Yeah, yeah, and Gregor just put a point out this. I guess he was talking about Linnell and Rooster earlier today, and he used to call them the Alabama bank robbers. Ron Payne, who has had a terrible season, and Jonathan Allen, who's just getting back into the fray, they have been disappointing, um, to say the least. I told you this early on and see after Baltimore. I said I think we've seen the last of Jonathan Allen in the burgundy and gold uniform. Well, call that guy. Let's mark that as wrong for me because I didn't think this dude was coming back. And then you got rid of your other Alabama stud in Fedarian Mathis, who was on the who had been on the healthy scratch list the last few weeks before he got cut and then went to the Jets. So maybe Ron Rivera, if he goes there, he can have him. But
Well, and just briefly
yeah,
on the Payne and Allen situation and how disappointing that they've been, Football Insights released a great chart today on the interior defensive line positional spending and pass rush win rate,
I bet it's bad.
and you're looking way to the right, way out by themselves.
Woo!
Beyond 40 million is the Washington Commanders, and well below the median of NFL teams, just below, what is that? Probably around 7%
Mm,
success rate, well
Jesus,
below the median. If we're over 40 million, where the Commanders
sweet
are,
Jesus.
I would say probably 15. Got 15 million more spent
Mm,
on Payne and Allen for the lack of production, not to mention the injury concerns this season. I think, I think that you're right. It is time to make some difficult decisions with those two
yeah.
guys, but unfortunately, they're not decisions that we're going to have to make now. And look, we
Yep.
spent the money. They need to earn their paycheck. It's time for
Yeah.
them to show up and do it. And there's never been a better time for it on the biggest stage that we've had thus far this season.
You've got me curious now, so I'm going to go to the Chris Collinsworth encyclopedia of.
Now, here's a guy the Commanders
Here's the
spent
guy.
way too much money on that's
Oh
not
my
going to
gosh,
produce anything they want.
it's
It's
been
some
bad.
would say it's the opposite of Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah, Deron Payne ranks out of interior defensive linemen. He ranks 83rd out of 135, and then Jonathan Allen, who just started playing the last 2 weeks, 79 out of 132. Johnny Newton, 91 out of 132 of ranked linemen there. That's not good. I mean that's not good on any level. And they really, to be honest with you, Pro Football Focus has been fairly generous
Yeah,
to
I was going to say
yeah
they've been
to
kind.
them.
They've been
They've been
favorable.
in the past. So I mean they've got a 53.7 for Payne and a 54.6 grade for Allen, 51.6 for 54 and 51 for Newton. But yeah, it's not good, and that's where you got to win this battle up front. You've got to win this
Yeah.
battle up front. You've got to get penetration. If you stop in the run, you got to get your hands on Baker Mayfield as well. Like I don't. You've got to be in that room if you're Sharif Floyd and oh boy Daryl Tapp. You got to be telling these guys they got to get home. Like they need to be slobber knockers up front. Because if you disrupt that line and you get to the quarterback, you get to the running back, you've got yourself a chance. We know that. And then for you on the other side with your pass rushers, Dorrance Armstrong, Fowler. Wait a minute, like Fowler, don't hit the quarterback in the head because they probably gonna get you. Because who's
Yeah.
been our best pass rusher over the last few weeks?
Well, I
Jeremy
was just
Chin.
about to say they've been largely non-existent, and
Yeah,
like that's not Chin's job. Like Chin is
right.
not
It's
that
not.
guy. He is not, and like hats off
That's a
to him because
defensive trick
we've
play,
said
pretty
time.
much.
I know, and we've said time and time again. I think that Jeremy Chin is maybe one of the most fun guys to watch on
Re
our
re
defense because
resign.
he just comes out of. I mean, he comes out of there ready to take off heads. I mean, he
Mm-hmm.
flies into the TV screen and will just kill someone. But why is he our most authoritative pass rusher in the past several weeks? We're making quarterbacks so comfortable to sit in the pocket. And like we said, Baker Mayfield, he might be difficult to bring down because of his size, but he is not a fast guy. You can get to him. He will tuck the football, and most of the time, he's going to go down. And we've seen watching him play that not necessarily he'll get rattled in a sense, but he will become more cautious.
Mm-hmm.
And in that same vein, it harkens back to what we started to talk about. The defense has got to finish their supper with these interceptions,
Yep.
create the turnover. I don't want to see a tip ball. I don't want to see Luvu knock one up in the air. I don't want to see BSJ get hit in the hands again. Catch the football, hit the ground, and give the ball back to Jaden. It should be that simple, particularly when in the past several weeks, those turnover opportunities have been there. They've been
Mm-hmm.
available for everybody. And I know Mikey has not had a great game in the past, several weeks. He's been struggling. He needs to get back into form.
And he's
But
a rookie, though. I like,
exactly.
he's a rookie. Like we can, he he has played. His struggles have not been. He's been able to bounce back off his struggles, and this is what Paulie always tells me because when he played defensive, um, he played defensive back, and he says it's not necessarily if you get beat; it's if you fight back. Mikey
Yeah.
fights back. There's no
And
fight with Mike
we've
Davis.
seen him get hit in the
Right.
hands. He gets hit in the hands, but then he's right back on the football.
He's
Right
one
back on
of
the
the
football.
4 interceptions that Lamar Jackson is probably going to be the MVP. Should be the MVP. Um, it has this season.
I know.
So you ask me, right? I'll take his struggles because he looks like he can work through it. But Noah who I thought at the beginning of the season was playing
I
like
thought he was going to be the replacement. Honestly,
right,
I thought that he looked like a half decent guy, but I mean, he's
yeah,
become almost more of a liability than Forbes was.
he,
I mean, he just
he,
loves penalties and he can't catch a football if it was lobbed up in the air to him.
yeah. No, they couldn't hit water if they fell out of the damn boat. I mean, they couldn't hit on Joy Taylor if she was looking for a promotion. But um,
Wow.
the you're welcome for that one. I was going to try to breeze right through that, but yeah, they've got to do something. They
It's got to be the
secondary,
turnovers. It's
yeah.
got to be. You've got to take the ball out of Baker Mayfield's hands and disrupt their offensive rhythm. You know they're going to run the ball. You know that they're going to try to dictate the clock. They're going to try to command this game and take it away from Washington. Turnovers are going to be the way that you disrupt them. And if
Mm-hmm.
Baker throws a pick, he is not going to be as aggressive, as tenacious. And I think that, you're talking about bouncing back from mistakes. That's where the Commanders are very fortunate to have a guy like Jaden Daniels, who we've seen throw interceptions, we've seen take big sacks, we've seen take big hits. And I mean, it's like water off the back of a duck. He just seems to bounce back, and we need him to. After a poor performance against Dallas, all eyes are going to be on him to show up and get this offense moving early and keep them rolling through 4 quarters. There
Yeah,
cannot be any sputtering like we saw in our big midseason slump or like we saw last week with Dallas.
Greg is right. Nothing's simple when it comes to this defense. Yeah, yeah, you're right. Yeah, just Ah, yeah, we keep saying, and Rogers says, well, DQ's defense always suck at run defense at where he's been. He wants the speed and athleticism, and they get destroyed by bigger O lines.
And
We
it's
know
certainly
this
true in
coming in.
Atlanta.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, that's James White. Should have been the MVP of the Super Bowl. But we talked enough about Tampa offense. We know what they've got out there. Mike Evans, of course, he's Mike Evans, I don't know if you know this, he's my favorite wide receiver in the NFL
Okay.
just because he just the consistency of how he performs
Oh, it's
and
unbelievable.
at the level.
What is that,
Uh,
11 1,000-yard seasons
yeah,
now?
yeah,
Oh my God.
yeah, yeah. That man, he's a monster.
You talk about
He's
elite.
yeah. That's it. There you go. That's elite. If you can do that and um do that at a consistent level, and he was hurt this year.
Yeah.
Right, he missed like 4 or 5 games and still came back to put up those numbers. So I mean, I give credit to Mike Evans and just what he can do. So just make sure him and Marshawn Lattimore, like they said, it's going to be a movie. And
And
maybe
I
they
mean, I
both
will say, not enticing violence. God, I'd love to see a fight. I think it would fire us up. I think it would fire up the
this
Commanders
ain't
way
hockey. This
more.
ain't hockey, man. You go to
Fine,
Capital
but it would have the
Go to
same
Capital
effect.
One Arena if you want to see a fight with some people. When we deport Benjamin St. Juice, he can go up there and fight and play hockey because that's
That
what
works for me.
he likes to grab. Let's talk about we talked about their run defense. Let's talk about the uh, the non-movable force that is the running game for the Washington Commanders. I'm going to start with this. It's a two-part question for you. One, what is the problem? And then, well, not what is the problem? What's Brian Robinson's problem? And is it all him, or is it the offensive line, or is it a little bit of both? That's my biggest thing. And then, third question: why does Cliff Kingsbury? Maybe you can ask your powers to be to ask this question. I really need to know why is Chris Rodriguez treated like Mariano Rivera or Trevor Hoffman, and just we only see him in the second half. I need, I need to know. I need to know.
I think that that's a great point. And I mean, like, look, you start off saying let's talk about the Washington Commanders running back game, and I would say,
Whew.
yeah, it's going to be a pretty short conversation because there really is just not too much to say about it. I mean, you had Marcus Mariota come in for a half last week. He takes over the team's lead rusher. You're looking at the chart here. Oh, what's that? Austin Eckler, 3 carries, 12 yards. Brian
Whew.
Robinson, 5 carries,
Whew.
10 yards. And
Mm.
then you throw De'Ami Brown in there for good measure. Christ, that 0 for 1 passing is going to haunt me forever because, boy, that would have been sick. But
Oh
one carry
God.
for 8 yards. Look, they
Alameda.
for what started, yeah, don't. I've already aired my grievances about OZ. I've already aired my grievances. Keep him away
Your
from
boy,
Cuds.
your
Yeah,
fellow
keep
alum.
well, to be fair, what'd you expect? You got a guy from UVA. He's not going to come through with you when it counts. He's
Hey,
just not.
don't shout out to Brickenshaw Ferguson. He's one of the best left tackles the Jets ever had. So
Oh, fair.
there
But he didn't have to catch the football in big
you
moments.
go.
But look, I mean, like the run game, it started out as a staple for this offense. It started out at the beginning of the season that we were trusting Brian Robinson when Jaden Daniels was out of rhythm, that he kept the chains moving. Right now, like we said, it's non-existent. They're unable
Mhm.
to do anything, and whether it be Robinson, whether it be Eckler, they haven't gotten it done. And I will agree with you that in the past several weeks, it has been Chris Rodriguez that, for whatever reason, has had the most success. Maybe because teams purely just expect him to kind of be in there as a filler blocker guy, and they don't think he's actually going to get the ball. Whatever reason it is, he has been the most successful runner. And I will point to the impact that it has seen to have that the Commanders have not had a fully healthy badass.
Mhm.
When he is in the game, it's monumental for the run game. Obviously, for in the number of jobs that a center has in the NFL, he is really the commanding force for the run game. And when he has been banged up, or particularly when he has been out, it has had a very, very apparent effect. So, to your question of whether it is the O line, I think yes. Part of it is definitely the O line, where we've looked at, you know, Tyler Badass not being okay, Brandon Coleman still being kind of hurt, and even when he is in, not looking A, 100%, or B, that
Looking like a
sharp.
rookie.
Yeah, like Cornelius Lucas has not been playing well to that point. Allegretti has been good, and Cosme is Cosme. Wiley is Wiley. These are not like a top tier offensive line by any means, but we have commented on how, in the perspective of the Washington Commanders, they've stepped up. So I'm not quick to jump on Brian Robinson with the pinpoint of badass has not been in and healthy. I think that
Mhm.
that is a big reason why the running back run game in particular has struggled so much. I also think another interesting factor of it is, have we become too reliant on the quarterback run game? We know that
Yeah.
Jaden is an elite quarterback runner. That is an appropriate. He is an elite quarterback runner. He can run the football like very few can in the NFL at the quarterback position, particularly. But Cliff, I feel, is becoming too comfortable with that, and it worries me for several reasons. A, kid's going to get crushed. And like, he's gotten bigger, but Jaden Daniels is by no means a big fella.
No.
And if he gets somebody big coming off the edge, I still get worried that he's going to snap like a toothpick. Like, that's just the nature of it. He runs like a deer. He looks like a deer. Deer have very skinny legs, and if he gets a big hit in the open field, it's concerning. B, it's it's part of what has made Jaden's rushing so successful is that it it has come in unexpected moments, and it has come with his ability to scramble. I think it is going to be very easy for a team like Tampa Bay to game plan the fact that the running back run game has basically become a non-factor. We've talked about all season, especially when Jaden had his rib injury and it took away some of his run game, that the beauty of this offense was that it was a three-pronged attack. They'll get you with the running backs, they'll get you through the air, and then they have that ace up the sleeve of when Jaden gets in trouble, he'll run it. When we're going back to a two-pronged attack, it's hurting the offense.
Mhm.
And it's making us less versatile, it's making it more predictable. And I think that one of the biggest keys for me in this game is that Cliff Kingsbury needs to establish this run with Brian Robinson very early. And if that takes bringing Rodriguez in more, then let's bring in Chris
Right.
Rodriguez and get him in the first half, get him going. If for no other reason than we're giving Tampa Bay another look that isn't Brian Robinson, who is such a north-south runner.
Yeah. And the argument too is, I think, with a lot of people and with Cliff Kingsbury, and Roger kind of alluded to it, is maybe going to a more traditional style of run, right? Is going under center a little bit more, and maybe giving Brian Robinson that full hit of steam to hit the holes and everything like that. Which I think against Tennessee, if I'm not mistaken, his 40-yard touchdown run was
Yep.
out of the gun.
Right off the
Anyway,
start.
but
Right off the start.
right,
Third play.
right off the
Third
rip.
play. That is how you establish the run.
Yeah. And that I mean, and I think Cliff has had tendencies to go away from the run when it just is mildly inconvenient to him. I saw, he's running up the A gap on the right side, um, B gap. He's running Rob, and he's going to cut back to the left. So I mean, he's done a lot of jump cutting, and I mean, I don't know what that's all about, but we'll have to see. I don't think he is. I don't think he's healthy. He's disappeared in games. Like, there's been games I'm like, where's Robinson at? And I've sat here and people have heard me. I was like, where's B Rob at?
Yep.
So I think they've done a good job of masking his injury. I think they've done a good job of not letting leaks get out of the building with that. I think with Jaden, and we saw against Philadelphia, even against Pittsburgh, that it didn't look like he was all the way right with it from his
Agree.
rib injury. That kind of bounced back, and that may have hurt him during that 3 game losing streak. But yeah, I feel like you've got to get creative. You got to get outside of your box. Think outside of what you've been doing. If this means you got to go, um, we saw the importance of a fullback
Oh
on
yeah.
Sunday. We saw the
Oh yeah.
importance of a fullback. The Lipke guy from North Dakota State, how he bowled over and baptized Benjamin St. Juice.
Some old school running.
Yeah, old school. That the escort play that Mark Sanchez highlighted. He's not related to me anymore because every time he's against us. But that's a different story for a different day. So I mean, you're going to have to figure this stuff out. Badass. Hopefully he's healthy. Like I said, he practiced. Allegretti, I feel like he struggled down the stretch a little bit. Maybe he's a little nicked up. Cosme, Cosme's biggest problem is, and I've asked this question too: have we overrated Sam Cosme?
I
Because
think we did.
he has had some crippling holding calls. That I mean, you think about it against the Bears, you think about it against the Giants. Um, he had one against the Saints as well. Um, it is what it is. They won 12 games, so they must be doing something, big boy Roger. Um, I mean, it is what it is. They won 12 games, so they must be practicing something, big boy there. Finesse or whatnot, it wins games. But I just asked that question, like, what's going on there with them?
I mean, it's just like I think that the Brian Robinson injury point is a good one for sure. I think that that is a good
Hmm.
one because there there does seem to be some dark arts, I'll call it. There does seem to be some dark arts from when he was, listed on injury and he was unavailable. We saw Austin Eckler obviously with the same thing. He's been a bit in and out of play. That that has hurt us, and I think that that's a good point. Well made with Sam Cosme. I think you're 100% right. I
Yeah,
think that we and it's I wouldn't say overrated. I think that we
overvalue.
overvalued and also we were seeing I think it falls into the same thing that I brought up a couple times is that when we were evaluating it's the same thing as with the Marshawn Lattimore situation, for
Hmm.
example. We were evaluating what we were seeing in the spectrum and with the perspective of there are no superstars on this team,
Hmm.
and we were taking wins as they came. We found ourselves looking for the bright side consistently with the defense, particularly. We'd be like, you know what, they weren't great, but like we were looking for the sunny spot in a dark day. And that is not to take away from what this offensive line did. I think, particularly at the beginning of the season, when they were all fresh, they were playing very well and they were working well as a cohesive group. We were seeing the rotations that we expected to see without that true right tackle position, without somebody to really fill that. The group was rotating well and everybody was healthy. I think back to think back to right before the bye week when we were so banged up and it was looking like we were 4 left tackles out and we were just sitting here like, well, I don't know who we're going to play. Like, we don't have anybody to play. I think the guys potentially never really fully got back to where they needed to be,
Hmm.
even with that bye week. And this is not to single out Cosme. I mean, we're seeing it with Biotish, we're seeing it with Allegretti, we're seeing it with Coleman, we're seeing it with Cornelius Lucas. That the great offensive lines are the ones that can sustain the wear and tear of the season.
Yeah.
And it makes me think of Jason Kelsey every time that they talk about the tush push. And he says, well, look, this play looks stupid, but you don't understand the physical toll that it takes on
Hmm.
the offensive line to run it. And I think about that in particular. And while we're not running the tush push, these guys are going head to head, down in and down out for, 80 snaps a game, 60 snaps a game. And over the course of the season, what separates, the good piece together, they were a great sum of their parts offensive lines versus you look at an Eagles offensive line, you look at what the Ravens have been doing thus far. It is that they are superstars, but they are, they're able to withstand the wear and tear
Mm-hmm.
and that they have backups that they're comfortable putting in, whereas there is no other option for the Commanders. And these guys are going to play a little bit banged up versus taking the time to recover because we're in the shallow end of the pool.
That's a fair point. I like that. I like that. So let's dive into this real quick. On each side of the ball for the Buccaneers, who do we need to look out for?
I mean, I'll for the Buccaneers. I mean, I'll take the. I think I'll go for the easy one. Bucky Irving. I mean,
Mm,
their run game has been so formidable. This is a guy that has had a phenomenal season. He's so young. He is so bouncy. He is tough to bring down. And I mean, with 1,100 yards and 8 touchdowns this season in his rookie year, like he's got a bright future ahead of him. But much like Jaden Daniels, we're seeing great stuff out of him right now. He didn't have a great game against us, but much like Jaden Daniels, it was his first game. He's grown substantially since then. And so, with the struggles that this defense has had in stopping the run and how formidable he has been in games like that Chiefs game where they were taking the potentially best team in football, definitely the best team historically over the last 5 years into overtime, he was a very, very big part of that. And so I do not think that we can look past Bucky Irving and the damage that he could potentially cause us on Sunday night.
yeah. Who you got on defense?
Now, this is a trickier one because I almost feel like, on defense, much like how we said the defense for the Commanders would lose us this game,
Mm-hmm.
that for their defense, we are our worst enemy.
Yeah.
That their defense as a whole is, look, very good and like very stout, and they're nothing to be shied away from. I mean, you got Vita Vea in there, longtime vet, a guy that knows what he's doing. He's got his head on his shoulders. Yaya Diaby has been great as well. I mean, they've got guys that are going to get to Jaden Daniels. They're going to make his life hard. And I'm looking at, their injury report right now. They still have, much like the Commanders, Logan Hall listed as questionable. Levante David is questionable. Jamel Dean, Mike Edwards, and Tyke Smith all listed as questionable right now. So we might not be seeing a full group, but I'm going to go reverse on you here. And I think
Mm-hmm.
that our running back group is their defense's best weapon.
Jeez.
If we
I,
cannot run the football, if we can't run the football, that's what's going to kill us. I don't think that they don't have any playmaker like some of the guys that we have seen throughout this season where I'm like, man, like they're going to get us. Like, I think that our offense could put up 30 plus points. If we can't run the football, it doesn't, like, their defense just has to show up on the field. We can't have a one-dimensional offense against this. This is the playoffs, Corey. We cannot have a one-dimensional offense in the playoffs against a stout Tampa Bay defense and expect to win this game. If the running back core does not show up in the way that they failed to show up against Dallas, they're going to be the ones shooting us in the foot.
I hear you. Okay.
I mean, tell me I'm wrong. Tell me I'm wrong.
You're right. No, you're right. You're right. I agree with you.
I mean, who are you more scared of on their defense than our running back group not showing up?
2, 4, 6. Okay. I'm afraid of the guy who has scored 6 touchdowns in 5 games against us, who put up 209 yards against us in his rookie season, and then in a win against us, he put 164 on us in his sophomore season. Mike Evans always finds a way to score on us. I'm worried about Mike Evans offensively.
Well, I'm talking about the defense. I'm talking about
their defense. Oh, who I'm worried about?
I'm talking about on their defense. No, that is my pick for who I'm worried about on their defense.
Yeah.
Their defense's best weapon is our running back group falling short. That's my reverse pick.
Jeez.
Who on their defense are you more worried about than our running back group playing like they did on Sunday? Because I think if we show up, their defense doesn't worry me at all. It's going to be a shootout. I think we would see a full-blown Baker Mayfield, Jaden Daniels shootout. if like all is going according to plan. But is there a guy on their
They
defense
still
that
got
worries you
Levante
more?
David, man. They still got Levante David.
But still listed as questionable.
But I think he's gonna go.
I mean, I
He
would
gonna go.
assume he's going to go. But
He gonna go. He ain't missed a game this year.
3 forced fumbles, 5.5 sacks with 76 solo tackles, and an interception. I mean, I'll give you that.
Or Darby too. He's got 21 quarterback hits this year. And how many sacks to boot with that? I don't know how many sacks. Yeah.
4.5.
Darby. Yeah, 4.5. So I mean, those two guys, they can be concerning, especially with the slender frame of Jaden Daniels that they can catch up to him. Let's just be honest.
But
We
if they
get in.
can catch up to him, I'm not
Yeah,
worried about Jaden running the ball.
yeah, but that is our running game at this point.
Well, yeah, one
Yeah.
dimensional.
So I'll give you Levante David. I mean, I think he's
I
been a
like it.
stalwart. He's a stalwart there. They bring back Shaq Barrett too, who came out of retirement. So maybe I doubt he's going to be in playing form, but we'll see in that respect. I gave you who I said offensively. I think it's always going to be Mike Evans,
Yeah.
and he scored 2 touchdowns against us. But like a lot of you guys said, like Greg said, they need to run Bucky Irvins. If something happens to
Yeah.
Bucky Irvins, I think we have an opportunity. If we can put this game in Baker's hand and actually get to him, if you can get to him, all we need to do is win the turnover battle. I swear. I think
And
if
no,
we can
that's
win
what
the
it is.
turnover battle, we got a chance.
Stop tipping the ball up and put it
Right.
in your hands. Put it in
Yes.
between two hands and get your ass on the grass. I want
Right.
your ass touching grass. Give the ball back to Jaden Daniels. I don't want to see
Frankie
anything
Lulu.
fancy. Yeah, I don't want to see you tip it. I don't want to see you try to return it and fumble
Get
it.
it.
I'm done with
Just
all
get
of
it.
that nonsense. Hit the ground. Give our offense the football.
And then also to that fact, if you get a turnover, offense, do not play with yourself. Pause.
Oh my God.
You've got to score a touchdown. You've
We can't
got
see red
to.
zone stifles.
Right. You can't see that. You can't see any stifling with after a turnover because that's a win for them. That just washes out the turnover. You got to get in the end zone. You got to score.
And hey, we didn't even talk about it yet, but I don't want to see us attempt a single field goal. Don't even. Like we're going
Don't
for
hate
the
on.
end zone.
See. No. I'm not gonna let you disrespect Zane Gonzalez like that. The dude hasn't been that bad. He has not been that bad. You got to give him. He's
He hasn't been
5
that
and
bad. He
7.
hasn't been that bad. If we could get him a
He's been
25-yard
5 and
chip,
7. He missed 2 damn field goals
we
because
get
he
him
was
like
having a bad hair day.
if we get him like a 25-yard chip, 25-yard, 30-yard chip,
He's made
just a little chip.
every important. He's made every important field goal that he's needed to make.
I'm just saying, it's due. We're due.
See,
look,
don't
I don't trust
do
the
that.
special teams.
Don't do that shit. That's terrible, Will. Don't do that. That's the problem.
I just don't want field goals. I just want touchdowns.
Like
look, we're just going to get in the end zone.
You sound like
when
these
you don't have to
damn
kick
people
field
who
goals,
don't
you
want
don't
us
have to
to
kick
play
field
this
goals if you get in
game.
the end zone. You don't have to kick field goals if you get in the end zone.
You sound like these damn people who I've had to talk off cliffs about. They're like, well, you know what? I hate the fact that we play on Sunday Night Football. That sucks. Guess what, boys and girls? If you want to be a big dog, you're going to be playing on Sunday Night Football. You're going to be playing on Monday Night Football. So you know what? You better use your PTO or you better go right to sleep after the game. That's all you better do. And get you some damn coffee. I'll buy you Starbucks if you need it.
Oh, this is one you can't miss this. You're not
You
a fan
can't
of
like this is what being part of the NFL elite or trying to get into the NFL elite club is what it's all about. You have to earn your way there, unlike the Dallas Cowboys. But everybody else, they have to earn their way there. Nobody watching Kansas City games at 4:15 and 8:30 6 years ago. Nobody was doing that, and they were in the playoffs. They were still in the playoffs. Alex Smith. If you want to be a big dog and you got a primetime brand, aka Jaden Daniels, that's going to happen because everybody else wants to watch us. So embrace it, have a Coke, be a little sleepy on Monday night or Tuesday morning.
Yeah, no. I mean, look, this has been everything that we have suffered through, everything that we have waited on, everything that Dan Snyder and the Sith Lord brought us, it has led to what we are about to witness. This is remarkable. Even
Yeah.
if there's a reason that this game is Sunday night.
Yeah.
There's a reason that they slotted this game into
Yeah.
Sunday night because of the kind of football game, the kind of shootout, gutsy, incredible football game that fans are about to witness. That is why this is a Sunday night football game. And I mean, be there, be square is the only
Right.
thing. Like
Yeah.
it doesn't matter. Nothing important's going on. What is that? That's going to be like January 11th. Are you going to remember January 11th or whatever 14th in 2 years? No. But are you going to remember when the Commanders won their first playoff game since 2006? I mean, it's been 19 years.
Yeah.
Hell yeah, you're going to remember that.
I was a freshman in high school. Guys, it's
And
been a
against the
minute.
Tampa Bay Bucks.
Yeah. Yeah. You're right. You're right. And we owe these boys. We owe these boys for that in '99, and we owe them for back in 2020. Let's go
Hell,
out
we owe
here.
them for the beginning of the season. This
That's
team
true.
doesn't lose. This
Yeah.
team literally, they just don't lose football games. And for the Bucks to be able to get away with that one in Jaden Daniels' first ever game, they don't deserve that. We should mop the floor. Like, I think we could go out there and mop the floor with them if this offense comes out cracking.
Yeah. Oh, no doubt about it. I think you're right in that respect. I'm pretty sure that Roger, even though you said it, I don't think Todd Bowles has beaten Cliff Kingsbury head to head. So as head coaches at least. So there you go. But let's ask the most important question: do we win?
38-34 Commanders.
Okay, 38-34 in a Cincinnati Bengals style win. I
Shootout.
got you. In a shootout down there in Tampa. Huh. Huh.
I mean, I know you like the sound of that.
Yeah, I do. I like the sound of
It
that.
sounds tasty.
It does. It does. It really does.
On a
I,
Sunday night, little
on a
little
Sunday night, they're 0-4 though in primetime games. 0-4. I got 5 on it. 0-5 in primetime. Don't I don't like the fact that the public is hammering the Commanders, like Greg said. About
I think they
78%.
try to put us at +3.
Yeah, I think yeah, it's put us up here. So, with that being said, I'd be a fool not to pick the Commanders. I think we're gonna win this game. Uh, I think it's gonna be close. As usual, nothing comes easy to this team. I like 35-32. Zane Gonzalez hits a game-winning field
Wow,
goal
you're
at
gonna
the
push
gun.
the spread like that? You're gonna have a
Yep,
push?
yep,
Ooh,
yep, yep.
Santiago says 35-17. I mean, I'd
That's what he
take that.
wants.
Whew.
Yep, yep.
Well,
I go 35-30. Well, I mean, at the end of the day, if we lose this game, it's not a disappointing season. Like
I mean, I'm
this
not
is
rationalizing that yet. We're gonna go out
yeah,
there and
I'm
we're gonna
not
kick some ass.
I'm
No,
not
I don't even
rationalizing
care.
that either, but I'm just saying
Oh
for those
no,
people in the comments and everything,
it's
uh,
not even it's not even a realm of possibility in my
yeah,
mind. I haven't
I'm
even
going to
I can't
push.
even think about it.
Yeah, I'm going to. No, and that's another thing. I get so pissed about Greg. Come on now, man.
Yeah,
Come on. He
I don't
said
like Greg's attitude in the chat right now.
36-30
36-30
Bucks in
Bucks.
overtime. Damn it. Damn it. You might as well go 36-35 when John Gruden went for 2 down there in Tampa in the playoff game. But
It was
what
a
gives
Buck
me
stream, just like 2 links over. Just
yeah,
go pop and share those comments over
he's
there.
burgundy and gold. He's scoring. He's scoring. But I will give you this. I'll give you this. The last couple of times that we've lost to him, we've come back with a win.
Yeah,
Especially when it's playoffs. We look at the end of the 2020 season. We lost them in the playoffs. We beat them in the regular season. On God knows how we did it. I don't know, but we found a way to do it. Um, I'm trying to think. When we played them in the playoffs in 2005, we lost to them in Tampa, went back and beat them in Tampa. Um, we lost to them in the playoffs in '99, beat them at home in 2000 in the playoffs. This team, if you want an outer division rival, this is what it is in the NFC. Tampa, we played some hell of games against Tampa. One of the biggest comebacks in franchise history happened against us. Made the legend of Kirk Cousins and us liking that. Um, I think we see another one. I really do. I think we see another one this Sunday coming up on Sunday Night Football as we take on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I think we get them. It won't be pretty. It won't be pretty. It'll be ugly, but it'll be beautiful. All in the same thing. And then also maybe that offensive line, right? That offensive side of the ball. Liam Combs looking for a new job. Maybe he's focused on. Maybe he overthinks. Cliff's been a head coach before on as offensive mind in there. Maybe sometimes we see these coaches trying to overperform for their potential new bosses. So we'll throw
I'm
I'll
ready
throw
for
that
it.
out there. Yeah,
I'm ready
we
for
hope.
it.
That's hoping. That's hoping. But yeah, I mean, they beat us. We beat them again. So I'm going to use that theory historically with them, and hopefully we'll be talking next week. And no, we will be talking
We'll be
next week.
talking next week.
Yeah, we'll be talking next week. Victorious, and we'll be going to Detroit, or we'll be going to Minnesota, right, or the
Yeah.
Rams, right? Yeah. So
Hmm.
we'll see. Okay, Kyle Trask. Oh, Kyle Trask, you wanted him to come out there. Now that would be something. If we saw Kyle Trask, um, Lord have mercy. I would be licking my chops because they would go so one dimensional after that, and it'd be straight Bucky Irvin and find a way to stop him. That's the only thing you had to worry about. So we'll see. We'll see, guys. Anything else for the good of the cause, William?
Oh, I'm standing by my prediction. I'm fired
I
up. I mean, I'm counting down the days, counting down the hours. It's go time, baby. This is what we've been waiting for.
Zane Gonzalez for the win. You can check William out on Twitter at William underscore Foshi on the X, and then you can listen to him. Well, you can listen to his product on Command This podcast as he produces that. So we are going to get out of here and appreciate y'all. We keep that same damn energy. We outlast the bastards together. And until the next time, love, peace, and hell. Somebody play the damn theme music so we can get out of here because we going to win. It's playoff season, y'all. Let's get ready to rock and roll. We out.